ሰላም እንዴት ናችሁ? In today's lesson, we look at the negative form of all the positive one-word sentences that you learned last week in this video. If you haven't watched that video, I recommend that you do so before watching this one. I leave the link in the description box for you. As a reminder, this is the negative form of the verb to be in the present tense. However, we won't be using this today. You will learn one-word Amharic negative sentences, which in English mean I'm not, you're not, she's not, etc., plus an adjective. The negative form is made up of the positive form, to which we add al as a prefix and me as a suffix. These are some of the positive sentences you learned last week. Add al before it and me right after, and you'll get the negative form. Let's go over it one by one. I'm not tired. አልደከመኝም. In the positive form ደከመኝ, the is sound in the last letter is not stressed. When a word ends with an is sound, it's usually not stressed. ደከመኝ. However, you do stress the ñ in the negative form. አልደከመኝም. አል ደ ከ መኝም. አልደከመኝም. I'm not hungry. አልራበኝም. 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 I'm not cold. አልበረደኝም. 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 I'm not hot. አልሞቀኝም. 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 I'm not sick. አላመመኝም. These two letters, l and a, are going to merge. When a is next to l, they form the la sound together. So instead of saying al-a, say ala. Ala. አላመመኝም. 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 I'm not sad. The same rule applies here. The two letters merge. አላዘንኩኝም. 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 I'm not bored. አልደበረኝም. 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 I'm not happy. አልተደሰትኩኝም. 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 I'm not angry. አልተናደድኩኝም. 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 So although we add al and me to the positive form in order to create the negative form, that doesn't mean that al and me mean not. It doesn't mean not on its own. The word not doesn't exist in Amharic. Let's go over the other pronouns. You're not tired, to a male. አልደከመህም. 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 Aren't you tired? አልደከመህም. You're not hungry. አልራበህም. 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 Aren't you hungry? አልራበህም. You're not cold. አልበረደህም. 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 Aren't you cold? አልበረደህም. You're not hot. አልሞቀህም. 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 Aren't you hot? አልሞቀህም. You're not thirsty? አልጠማህም 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 Aren't you thirsty? አልጠማህም You're not sick? አላመመህም 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 Aren't you sick? አላመመህም You're not bored? አልደበረህም 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 Aren't you bored? አልደበረህም You're not sad? አላዘንክም 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 Aren't you sad? አላዘንክም You're not happy? አልተደሰትክም 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 Aren't you happy? አልተደሰትክም You're not angry? አልተናደድክም 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 Aren't you angry? አልተናደድክም You're not tired to a female. አልደከመሽም አልደከመሽም Aren't you tired? አልደከመሽም You're not hungry? አልራበሽም አልራበሽም Aren't you hungry? አልራበሽም You're not cold? አልበረደሽም አልበረደሽም Aren't you cold? አልበረደሽም You're not hot? አልሞቀሽም አልሞቀሽም Aren't you hot? አልሞቀሽም You're not thirsty? አልጠማሽም አልጠማሽም Aren't you thirsty? አልጠማሽም You're not sick? አላመመሽም አላመመሽም Aren't you sick? አላመመሽም It can also mean you're not in pain or aren't you in pain? አላመመሽም You are not bored? አልደበረሽም አልደበረሽም Aren't you bored? አልደበረሽም You're not sad? አላዘንሽም አላዘንሽም Aren't you sad? አላዘንሽም This can also mean you're not disappointed or aren't you disappointed for all pronouns. You're not happy. አልተደሰትሽም አልተደሰትሽም Aren't you happy? አልተደሰትሽም You're not angry. አልተናደድሽም አልተናደድሽም Aren't you angry? አልተናደድሽም She's not tired. አልደከማትም አልደከማትም Isn't she tired? አልደከማትም She's not hungry. አልራባትም አልራባትም Isn't she hungry? አልራባትም She's not hot. አልሞቃትም አልሞቃትም Isn't she hot? አልሞቃትም She's not thirsty. አልጠማትም አልጠማትም Isn't she thirsty? አልጠማትም She's not sick. አላመማትም 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 Isn't she sick? አላመማትም She's not bored. አልደበራትም አልደበራትም Isn't she bored? አልደበራትም She's not sad. አላዘነችም አላዘነችም Isn't she sad? አላዘነችም? She's not happy. አልተደሰተችም። አልተደሰተችም። Isn't she happy? አልተደሰተችም? She's not angry. አልተናደደችም። አልተናደደችም። Isn't she angry? አልተናደደችም? He's not tired. አልደከመውም። Isn't he tired? አልደከመውም። He's not hungry. አልራበውም። Isn't he hungry? አልራበውም። He's not cold. አልበረደውም። Isn't he cold? አልበረደውም። He's not hot. አልሞቀውም። Isn't he hot? አልሞቀውም። He's not thirsty. አልጠማውም። Isn't he thirsty? አልጠማውም። He's not sick. አላመመውም። Isn't he sick? አላመመውም። He's not bored. አልደበረውም። Isn't he bored? አልደበረውም። He's not sad. አላዘነም። አላዘነም። Isn't he sad? አላዘነም። He's not happy. አልተደሰተም። አልተደሰተም። Isn't he happy? አልተደሰተም። He's not angry. አልተናደደም። አልተናደደም። Isn't he angry? አልተናደደም። We're not tired. አልደከመንም። አልደከመንም። We're not hungry. አልራበንም። አልራበንም። We're not cold. አልበረደንም። አልበረደንም። We're not hot. አልሞቀንም። አልሞቀንም። We're not thirsty. አልጠማንም። አልጠማንም። We're not sick. አላመመንም። አላመመንም። We're not bored. አልደበረንም። አልደበረንም። We're not sad. አላዘንም። አላዘንም. You don't say አላዘንንም. You just put the two-ness together and just stress on it. አላዘንም. አላዘንም. We're not happy. አልተደሰትንም። 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 We're not angry. አልተናደድንም። 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 You're not tired, plural form. አልደከማችሁም። 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 Aren't you tired? አልደከማችሁም? You're not hungry. አልራባችሁም። አልራባችሁም። አልራባችሁም. Aren't you hungry? አልራባችሁም? You're not cold. አልበረዳችሁም። አልበረዳችሁም። አልበረዳችሁም. Aren't you cold? አልበረዳችሁም? You're not hot. አልሞቃችሁም። አልሞቃችሁም። አልሞቃችሁም. Aren't you hot? አልሞቃችሁም? You're not thirsty. አልጠማችሁም። አልጠማችሁም. አልጠማችሁም. Aren't you thirsty? አልጠማችሁም? You're not sick. አላመማችሁም። አላመማችሁም። አላመማችሁም. Aren't you sick? አላመማችሁም? You're not bored. አልደበራችሁም። አልደበራችሁም? Aren't you bored? አልደበራችሁም? You're not sad? አላዘናችሁም? አላዘናችሁም? Aren't you sad? አላዘናችሁም? You're not happy? አልተደሰታችሁም? 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 Aren't you happy? አልተደሰታችሁም? You're not angry? አልተናደዳችሁም? አልተናደዳችሁም? Aren't you angry? አልተናደዳችሁም? This one can mean they are not. It can also mean she is not and he is not in the formal and respectful way. So everything that I say here can mean either one. They're not tired. አልደከማቸውም? አልደከማቸውም? So when you say አልደከማቸውም without a pronoun, for instance, እነሱ አልደከማቸውም is they are not tired. እሳቸው አልደከማቸውም? እሳቸው አልደከማቸውም would mean she's not tired or he's not tired. እሳቸው is for both male and female. So if I only say አልደከማቸውም without a pronoun, depending on the context, it could mean they're not tired. It could also mean she's not tired or he's not tired. Okay, so for the sake of the video, I'm just going to do they are not. But just know that you can use these for she is not and he is not for the respectful and formal way of saying it. Aren't they tired? አልደከማቸውም? They're not hungry? አልራባቸውም? 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 Aren't they hungry? አልራባቸውም? They're not cold? አልበረዳቸውም? 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 Aren't they cold? አልበረዳቸውም? They're not hot? አልሞቃቸውም? አልሞቃቸውም? Aren't they hot? አልሞቃቸውም? They're not thirsty? አልጠማቸውም? አልጠማቸውም? Aren't they thirsty? አልጠማቸውም? They're not sick? አላመማቸውም? አላመማቸውም? Aren't they sick? አላመማቸውም? They're not bored? አልደበራቸውም? 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 They're not sad? አላዘኑም? አላዘኑም? Aren't they sad? አላዘኑም? They're not happy? አልተደሰቱም? አልተደሰቱም? Aren't they happy? አልተደሰቱም? They're not angry? አልተናደዱም? አልተናደዱም? Aren't they angry? አልተናደዱም?